Hey, thanks for visiting the Gray Area Podcast. I'm your host, Cal Gray. You ever meet an infectious person? Someone that exudes passion, consideration, and love? Let me introduce you to Ali Morgan. Ali has been doing work in the educational space for 25 plus years, from college financial aid offices to college classroom, independent school leadership. His teaching range from 5 to 65. He calls it pre-K to gray. The Bronx native relocated to some beautiful spaces growing up. So let's see where his soul resides today. Also, let's see what he was up to before he started this educational leadership journey. Check out this conversation with Ali Morgan. Let's go into the gray area. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here at the Gray Area. I'm your host, Cal Gray. And today is actually our first show. This is our first show of the Gray Area Podcast. And we have the amazing Ali Morgan with us today.
Wow.
Thanks for joining. Thanks for coming here. As you can see, you've entered into my sneaker cave here. Don't judge me, please.
No, it looks like a happy place.
Yeah. So, we believe that, as you walk in your journey, what you walk in your journey with, says a lot about you. So what do you walked into the gray area rocking today?
I think you've seen these before.
Oh, but there's some correlation
there's some things. There's some things that, and thanks for noticing that. So these are some Air Force Ones that go back to probably the late 80s, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
And I had a pair back then. I think back then, my brother and I, it was a big deal. I think they cost maybe like $50, which was a lot of money back then.
Yes.
And my mom's was not about that. But we, like many kids, begged, Mom, we're doing great in school.
Yeah.
But what can we do? I'll save my allowance, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say my brother had the red ones.
Wow.
And I had the royal blue. Back then, royal blue was my thing. But these right here was actually bought for me by Ava.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Ava, your
my daughter,
daughter.
the youngest. Yeah, Ava Moore. She I think we got it for Christmas a few years ago, and the colors is that's I think the point here, and they're black and yellow, but I think it's an ode to black and gold, or really black and old gold, as a proud alpha man, and I have worn them a few times, in some special occasions where I get a chance to rock them.
Okay.
So they have a couple meanings for me, but definitely when I'm wearing these, I'm feeling fly.
They tell a story.
They do.
They tell a story. Thanks for wearing them today.
Thank you.
In the gray area.
They feel at home amongst the. Look at that. I'm still looking. They're everywhere.
Well, let's get into it.
Okay.
So, you claim 3 places as home.
Mm-hmm.
The Bronx, St. Croix,
yes,
and Texas. People feel. People spend a lifetime trying to figure out where they belong.
Right.
How did you find your footing in 3 different places? And the Bronx is totally different than Texas.
Absolutely.
And St. Croix is nothing like the Bronx or Texas.
Well said. So
from cuisine to everything.
Yeah.
How'd you find your footing there?
Yeah, and I appreciate the question from the standpoint of at this stage in my life. Right.
Okay.
I think if you had asked me the same question, 10, 20 years ago, certainly when I was younger, it would have, I would have answered it. And I think there'd still be things that I'll share that would resonate back then. But I think because so many of my years have been spread across these 3 places, it's pretty cool to talk about. So I think I'll start with my family, and I think that's the real connection point. My parents, they met in New York. And as some people already know about me, I'll say, I actually say this a lot to my students. I think that's how I kind of came up with it, trying to explain who I am and, where I come from. I would say I'm half coconut and half collard greens. And they like that. They like that. And I wasn't just doing it for that part, but I was getting them to understand collard greens is a very important part of our culture. And so is coconut. It's like you get an instant reaction to that. And so of course they have more questions for me. But anyway, and why I say that is my mom's side is what we call the Croix side. And so she's from St. Croix, but born in St. Croix, but moved to the South Bronx when she was 5 or 6. And then my dad side, he actually born in Seattle, but they're Southerners, right? So they've lived a lot of places. I think they had 10 kids. The older kids grew up in St. Louis, and the younger ones in Texas, and that's where the family's been for a long time, over 50 years. And so when I was born in the Bronx.
Okay.
And
Boogie
down.
Yes.
Boogie down Bronx, Lebanon. Hospital.
Okay.
Still
Grand
around.
Concourse or
still
Fulton?
around. Oh, Grand Concourse.
Okay.
Grand Concourse.
Okay.
Come on now.
Okay.
You can ask me.
Okay.
We can talk like that. But we were kind of, growing up Baychester side. And then my mom actually moved us, me and my older brother, to St. Croix at a pivotal moment in our lives. We had just lost our dad, which was very sad and very difficult. And then my grandmother on the Caribbean side, my maternal grandmother, also passed about literally 3 months to the day. And it was the 80s, man. And you were there with me. Like, it was rough. We were losing people.
Yes.
Things was jumping off all the time.
Yes.
We were prayed up. We were covered, but it was tough. And I honestly, there were people that I know I grew up with who didn't make it. Yes. And so my mom, we were good boys, worked hard, went to Catholic school, did our thing. And she, just was led to move us. And it was tough because, as tough as it was, being a New Yorker is a special thing, man. And it's in your heart. It's a way of living. This is obviously a wonderful time for hip hop, as we know it now. But back then it was happening, right?
We carried.
And so yeah. So when we moved, it was tough, and St. Croix couldn't be further from that. Quiet, calm, peaceful, slow. I mean slow, right? A good slow.
Yeah.
But it was one of the best things, one of the best decisions my mom ever made, one of the best things for us. I will say my brother had a harder time than me because he was a little older. So he was already at Spelman, Cardinal Spelman, on the football team, Friday night mix, recording that on cassette tapes, jamming. Like, we was in it. I was a little younger. I was still into it, but he was even deeper into it. And so when we moved, it was culture shock, right? And I embraced it fully, pretty much from the get-go. My brother did not. He kind of fought. He was not happy. There was some family challenge. My mom's like, and he's like, "Ma, how you do me like this?" Kind of thing. We missed our friends, of course.
Right.
But some of those friends I got to reconnect with many years later, which is pretty cool. But all that to say, well, now I got to tell you about the Texas part. So again, this is my dad's side. I'm very connected to them. When I was choosing where I wanted to go for college, coming out of St. Croix, I looked at a lot of different places across the country. I got into all of them, truly blessed. And I had, some important decisions. And I decided, I fasted, I prayed, and I decided to go to SMU in Dallas because my grandparents, my dad's parents, were still going strong. My auntie was there, my uncle, we have family. A lot more of them had moved there after. And it just felt right. And I got to pursue theater there. I got a theater scholarship. So that got me there. And so once I graduated and came back to New York, Dallas was home. It was always going to be home. So that's how I ended up with the 3 homes. I go to all 3 regularly. I got people in all 3. When I'm there, I feel home. I know my way around. I'm good.
Got you. Okay.
Hope that gives you a sense.
That definitely gives us a good sense and some footing there. You said prayed up.
Yes.
You said fasted.
Yes.
That leads to spirituality.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Which doesn't just give you faith.
Right.
It gives you the framework of life,
It does.
right and wrong, right? For accountability. So how does that foundation hold up when you do start to choose the work you do, like in diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Yeah.
It runs, into institutions, values, and things of that nature. How does that hold up there?
It does. It's foundational. And I'll be honest with you, not a year goes by, not a, sometimes say, a week or a month goes by where I don't not just reflect on, but think about, how we were being fed as youth. Like, I was in the church from young. We were, my mom, we've been in a lot of different types of churches, but our main church where we learned a lot in Bible study was Pentecostal, actually, in the South Bronx, called Abundant Life Tabernacle. And so we learned a lot there. We were in church all the time. I think I'm not the only one like that, but I think, think about the environment I described, and you lived it too.
Yes.
That's probably a good place to be for some 2 young
safe.
brothers,
It's pretty
and
safe.
particularly when pops is, so I think, I know that from a young age, that connection was strong. I knew it for myself, which is how my mom, kind of shared it with us. And we learned it was, your parents could take you to church, but you still got to decide, right?
Yes.
And I have to say, even though I learned a lot from being in that building, it was always something that was within me. So it was never, my mom was really good about saying, like, this is great, we're here, we're doing this, this is blessing. But the church is where you go. The church is the work you do, My mom's a nurse. So I think I already learned and saw her. She had the social work background as well, where she was helping so many people with serious stuff. So I watched that. She didn't necessarily bring work home, but I saw her help people in the community. I saw how she would speak about certain things, and I just internalized it. And so the education piece was a big part of me from day one. I always loved, I was the kid who, did well in school, talk to the teacher, anything else I can do kind of thing. But I would like play school at home. Like, I had a chalkboard and I would be like, this is what we're doing. You give me some workbooks, I'm trying to grade. Like, seriously. I didn't think nothing of it, but it was kind of like, look, fast forward. And I remember high school, like, finishing up strong, and they would ask you, what do you want to do? And a lot of us, we just didn't know, right? I think at one point I said something like, be a math professor. Ooh. And I didn't get there, but I did become a professor, and I definitely love math. And, there's some other connection points. But I think, I love what you, referenced about the DI space. Of course, we didn't call it that back then. No. But the work was happening. And I think my master class in that came in college. One of my mentors in life is Dr. Laquita Wright, and she ran our, what we call Office of Intercultural Education, Minority Student Affairs. And that's an important place anywhere, but definitely a place like SMU, which is a wonderful school. I loved it, still love it. And, PWI. So having that foundation, and we had like a retreat from day one. I met some great people that I'm still close to. Met some alphas who were awesome. Okay. And I was watching them. I was seeing what I was seeing how they were moving. They were moving like this. They were moving like this. Cool cats. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't know longer, down the line, they would become my brothers. And one in particular would become my dean. That space, I just, I was a student leader. I got really involved. But by my senior year, she had brought me in as an intern. So I got to work, stuff I love to do. But she said, we can use some of that work study money. You can come in here and help me out. You're already doing it. And so I took that very seriously. And she took it very seriously. And so when I moved back to New York, I actually looked for, I was going to, my dream job was to work at LaGuardia, to be an arts teacher there. But if you know anything about LaGuardia, I know you do. It's such a fame and just such talented students. Wonderful program. I mean, historic, right? And so I was on a waiting list. So while I was waiting, I was like, what else can I do? And I looked into higher ed, because I was like, let me try that. And I looked at some schools, maybe student life, and I didn't find that, but eventually I got a job working in financial aid, and I worked my way up there.
Got you. Okay. So let me back up a little bit.
Yes.
Bachelor Arts in the theaters.
Yes.
That came at Southern Methodist University.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Where did you pick up that theater bug? Like, to go after your arts degree? Like, this is St. Croix.
Right.
The Bronx.
Yes.
Texas.
Yeah, what's going on?
That don't say theater.
No. So
it doesn't. Right?
We have to explain that, right?
Yeah. So where did you pick that up?
So you got me thinking even deeper than I thought I'd be thinking, brother. So thank you for that. Meaning, formerly in St. Croix, and I'll tell you that in a second, but I have to go back to the Bronx, which we share in that hip hop culture and that
like
church.
A jungle sometimes.
Oh yeah, that makes you wonder, right? And then you got church and the choir. Like we got to acknowledge that great music, the drummers, the singers,
I
right? Like I mean, like this
was
is
a drummer.
And see what I mean? I became a drummer.
I was a drummer.
The instrument I ended up playing, it was percussion, right?
Yeah.
And I love that, but. So I want to say that even down to, again, my mom and I always have a conversation, me and my brother, my whole family, everyone in the family. This is the wonderful tradition we all have. We always speak on birthdays.
Oh, okay.
And I called mom this morning. We had a great conversation, and she always, I almost like ask her, tell me the story again. What time was it? 6:05? Yes, baby. You were ready to come out? Okay. And then we go from there. That's just our story. I love it. And she loves it. And her memory's sharp. We ended up talking about the talent shows that we used to do at Nativity of Our Blessed Lady, which is closed now, but right there on Dye Avenue. That's where I went for grade school. And I think the year, I think maybe sixth grade or seventh grade, I think it was sixth grade. We did, brother, you believe this? We rapped to Proud to Be Black by Run DMC. And we won. There's a little trophy we got. It felt very big back then. My mom still has it in our house from the 80s. And I was Run. My boy Dwayne was DMC, and then another brother Jason was Jam Master Jay, and my brother mixed it all up for us to make it work, because I had a few words we had to handle. But the point was, that's a part of the story too, right? Because performing, being on that stage with the mic, that's theater, right? Like you and I mean, sincerely. So even though that wasn't, I hadn't really been in the theater, I didn't really know much about it. I did that and got to feel and receive from the audience feedback and encouragement and the love and the, wow, you're doing something. Because the beauty of that song, if you a rap song, if you know it, it's been a long time, is it's something you would do during Black History Month.
Yeah.
Right? It's telling the story of our people.
Fact,
and so that was cool. So then fast forward to St. Croix, we moved mid-year. There's a man by the name of Mr. O, Tom Osowski, who was everything. He directed the shows. He was the head of the choir, the head of the band. He did all the sets. I mean, the guy was incredible, genius. I'm still in touch with him. He's amazing. He built a beautiful program. He had just gotten there himself a little before us. And one of the things about St. Croix, it's a small, wonderful island, Virgin Islands. People, it can be a little transient. So people will move back and forth during the school year. That happens sometimes because of hurricanes, but for other reasons. And so that year, again, we moved in mid-year, and I think a couple people in the high school had moved. And long story short, my brother's in high school, he was in the choir. He was going to be in the show Grease. So I think he was replacing somebody. Well, it just so happened that, we're tight. We kind of got to, my brother has a little practice after school. I'm going to wait on him if I'm not shooting hoops or something. And while Mr. O was still my teacher. So even though I wasn't in the high school yet, he handled the middle school program and the upper school program. So he knew me. And so I'm in there waiting, and my brother's singing some songs, and I just start singing songs. So next Ali, come over here, man. So I come over there. He's got me doing stuff. I'm basically auditioning without realizing it. He puts me in the show. I'm a middle schooler. That's like unprecedented. We're not sure how this is going to go, because that's probably not cool. But I was, I can handle it. And I was Eugene. He cast me as Eugene in Greece, and I did my thing, man. I never looked back. And from that point on, I did all the shows. I was very involved. And he's the one who came to me senior year and said, Ali, man, we should look into seeing if we can get you a scholarship for this. I thought the other path I was looking at besides academic was tennis. I played a lot of tennis, and I was like, I knew some contemporaries who were doing pretty good and, had some opportunities. So, but I said, okay, we did this competition. I didn't win it, but it opened up some doors, and SMU was on the list of schools that honored people who did this arts competition. And man, I just took off, man.
Took off from there.
Yeah.
Oh,
so the arts,
man.
So it's one of those things where it's like, it's within you.
Yes.
Certainly you got to have the right people at the right time to bring it out. But my mom would tell you that it was always there. She would tell you that it was always there. Yeah.
That is amazing. That's pretty cool. Like just growing up in church, like for myself, I learned about music, singing in the choir,
of course,
playing instruments. My younger brother is the minister of music at church.
He was like, that's another, that's a sacred role.
Right? Yeah, like he was, but it was a gift from,
right.
Like he didn't go to school, didn't learn. That's where he learned. Eventually went to school, but you learned everything in the church. Easter poems, to remember a poem, and acting, nativity scenes, and things of that nature.
Yes.
The church was the arts. It showed the arts.
That's
It introduced me to the arts as
Wonderful.
So I can understand where that itch came from.
Yeah. And then I didn't look, but then I was all in, man. I was into,
definitely
jamming soundtracks and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So after you graduate and you're in the theater, where do you go in the theater? Where is there work for you in the theater after you leave FSMU? So this is one we don't talk about all the time, because it's a good thing to talk about. But what I mean is it can be tough in the business. Yeah.
Our program was a top program at SMU, still is. You had to audition. They only accept 30 kids out of like 600. They had 2 tracks for us, 15 and 15. One was called acting track. One was called theater studies. Theater studies, they both learn acting, but if you did theater studies, that meant you had another option to specialize in something: playwriting, stage management, scene design, or directing. I chose directing. So by my senior year, I did a August Wilson play. So I did Ma Rainey's for my senior year.
Ma Rainey's.
And I'm very proud of that, because I had student taught at Booker T. Washington, which is their LaGuardia School in Dallas, and that's where Erykah Badu went. And she was actually just getting going at that time. But anyway, because of that, I'm sorry, this program is very strong. When you finish the program, there's basically 3 paths, as we were taught. Move to New York or LA. You know why?
Okay. Yeah.
Go to grad school, which a lot of people didn't do because the program was strong enough that you had the training. But if you're going to Yale, which is arguably one of the top grad programs in the country and the world, or Cal Arts or some other programs, sure, or teach. There was a very small number of us, I was one of them, who said, I think I might teach. And again, I had some experience with that, but my vision was going back to New York. I'm going to LaGuardia, man. I'm going to do this.
Yes.
I never quite got there, but that's okay. I kind of got there. Now, fast forward, I think, being in New York is tough. Like, it's kind of baptism by fire. I had people ahead of me who were working actors here, and then certainly contemporaries. And I did explore, audition. I got some things going and did a lot of off-Broadway stuff. I would say my peak moment, even though it had a tough sort of ending, was I'd done some arts festivals, and I had a partner actually. Her name was, I call her the late great Ella Turen, beautiful, wonderful, very talented Haitian sister. We ended up paired together in a piece called Working Things Out, and then we end up taking it on the road and doing it in different places. Well, one year we did the Downtown Urban Theater Festival, and when we were preparing for that, kind of auditioning, preparing, the artistic director at the time was Reggie Gaines, who did the book for Bringing the Noise, Bringing the Funk. He took a liking to us. He took a liking to me. And so he kind of gave me the signal, like, listen, I got something in mind for you. I'm like, this is happening? This is real? And it was. And so he had this play called Tears, Tiers, that he wrote from the 70s. And, it's sort of semi-autobiographical. Long story short, next thing I know, I'm rehearsing with this guy. We're jamming with Savion Glover. We're trying to get him to produce it. It's a ensemble piece. So there's four brothers or four guys that are close friends that are rehearsing it. And he's paying us like, this is happening. I'm like, oh my God, we did a reading at the Nuyorican. It was a great time. And it's feeling great. We're on the path. And then, life happens. One of the brothers in the cast had a I guess what do you say? He had a deadline. He wanted it now. Like, we were rehearsing and he needed it to happen. And so Reg would be like, listen, we're getting there. Let's just let me work this out, because I think at that time it was like he needed funding to produce a run, right? Yeah. He knew how to do it. He's been very successful with George C. Wolfe and Savion. He had the people, and so when that guy left the show, that impacted us because it was ensemble. So we replaced them, and then one thing led to another, and next you know what's happening. I'm like, oh my God, it was devastating. But I remember feeling still good. Like, I remember feeling like, wow, that's what it feels like when you're that close to a moment where it could, a lot of people live for that moment where it's like things are coming together, right? Your talent, the piece. Think about for Black actors, how hard it is. They're so talented, but how hard it is to even find pieces with content that's got some real oomph to it that you can get into, and working with these are successful people, right? He was a Tony nominated. I'm just being in his presence. He's cool. He introduced me to George Faison. Like, we're going around, like, we're part of his crew for a while, and I'm like, what you know what I mean? I learned a different part of New York during that era. But it took a lot out of me. I did some other shows, but after that, I kind of said, and while this is happening, I'm doing well in my career and, higher education and administration, things like that. So I'm doing this at night. My brother comes to help me out with the kid. Like, this is a huge commitment, a huge sacrifice. My mom is one of those people, hey, come, let's go, let's do it, let's try. Right. But what it felt like, if I had to put it all together, Cal, it was like, that was an important season. Right. I use the word season for a reason, not just, because it can be months, it can be a couple years. Right. But it felt like that season was winding down. Okay. That experience was very important. It would inform my work as an educator, as a DI practitioner, as a connector of people, as someone who's been with, some pretty special humans. Gotcha. Like the great Magic Johnson. Is Jersey I'm looking at right there. Like, if he walked in the room, I'd be like, I'm good. And then I just want to talk to him. You know what I mean? Right. So that humbled me, and I definitely had some conversations with on high and saying thank you for that opportunity, even though it didn't go to the where we all would have hoped and dreamed. Oh my God, I'm gonna do this show, we're going to run, and then it's gonna take off. A lot of other things took off, and that's okay. Right. So when that happens, you step into a gray area. Yes, that was a gray area. You step into that, right? So it's a gray area. I like to. I look at the gray area. It's not a negative space. It's a space of choice most times, right? We're always making a decision, in life. We're always looking to, what's the next step, right? And when that gray area is that
that instinct of the decision, right?
Yes.
It's left, it's right,
You're
it's
right.
up, it's down.
You're right. That's a great point. And I can
know?
honestly say you nailed it because
Like,
in reflection, that's what happened. I really did make a conscious. It's like, look, couple things are happening because you can have multiple tracks moving, and that can be the gray area. Like, how do I choose this?
How do I make that decision?
How do I? Yes, I can make the call, but I'm leaving this right here, right?
Yeah, so, right. Like,
right.
And you were doing this at night, right? So during the day, you were still a full-time educator.
Yeah.
You were still an educator.
Top notch, brother.
Right.
Doing my thing, moving up in my career, like really, like putting in that work, right? Getting promoted, like being, being invited to the room.
Oh,
right.
So, I did the research I could do, like starting at, City University of New York, Baruch.
Yes.
You was an adjunct professor there. Yes. In the School of Public Affairs. Then you went on to Community College, Westchester Community College.
I did.
To be the director of financial aid.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And, while at City University of New York, you were in the financial aid sector. Mm-hmm. Right. So financial aid has been a constant thing there. And financial aid stands in the gap, but it does the work of inclusive enrollment.
It does.
It helps remove the judgment of a student from his zip code, from his parents' bank account, as one who was able to get financial aid, who needed financial aid for higher education. Right. That's where some equity is there. What did you find about yourself working in those financial aid sectors?
So many life lessons. First of all, I want to say, as you shared it with me, and from the eye perspective, like I do, and I have to say, my first financial aid job, I remember saying in the interview, because I think the role was like loan coordinator counselors at the new school. I had a great time there. I learned a lot there, and it was a wonderful place to be in my 20s. I remember saying, "Well, I'm, on my resume, I'm a financial aid student. Like I know the power of this, and they kind of looked at me like, this guy is serious. Like, my point to them was, although I don't have, it's a sort of entry level kind of role, I think it may be a little more elevated. I didn't have that experience. I hadn't worked in an office, but I had been, a recipient, a proud recipient. I had the full gamut, and they actually appreciated that. Like it actually went over well. They said, "Look at this guy. He's not going to leave anything on the table. Like he's like, yeah, I know I'm competing with some other people, but I believe in the power." Like, and my point with that was, I'm going to pass that on to how we service people. I'm never going to forget the power of that. And so that I want to say that for me, financial aid is access. Right. And it's also doesn't have a racial identity, which people tend to think of people that maybe look like you and me. And ain't nothing wrong with that but there's so many other people. And I know because I've worked with them, and I made all the way up to director, a couple of places, even did some bigger projects for CUNY. I did a big ERP project for them years ago, CUNY first, before it, was named. But anyway, so what have I learned? Being in that space is a lot of work. It's actually intricate. It's actually interesting to talk about right now in the last year or so, where a lot of, Department of Ed has been, just sort of what we know it to be is no longer, right? There's a lot of people I know who've worked in that office for a long time because we would call them and they would help us. But it's a very important job, can be thankless, although I've been thanked many times, right? The work, you're not doing it for that, but we're dealing with all kinds of people homeless, wards of the state, people who come from big homes, people who've never had anything, people who are so strong, so smart, so driven. They just need help, right? There's some great federal programs, state programs, private programs, and worked on all of that and really figured that out. Studied it, learned it, and definitely took pride in helping many, many people help pursue their goals and change lives. I mean, when you can get access to some funds for your grad program, your fellow, whatever, it really makes a difference. There's so many people. If we did a poll on like who's been impacted by a financial aid program, it would be more than we think. And like I said, it doesn't have a racial identity, which I think, like a lot of things, as things are promoted, as they're, the media and how things are covered, it tries to give it an identity. It does. Right? It tries to
now pigeonhole it to
correct.
one community.
Yes. Now, proudly, I worked in urban institutions. Like urban institutions are different. Like I went to a beautiful campus, very wealthy school, but in terms of undergrad, but grad, Baruch College, excellent school.
Yeah.
The business program, the School of Public Affairs. I was in a small program called, at the time, Housing to Public Affairs. There was basically the Higher Education Administration program. So a lot of CUNY folks who worked in the field, who serviced people in, admissions or enrollment management or bursar or financial, whatever it may be, student life, a lot of them were attracted to that program because it prepared you to either get some of the roles I already had, but to elevate, right? To take that experience, and you got exposed to everything, finance and student life and all these different things. Yeah.
So from there, how did you get into the independent schools?
So that's a full circle moment, and I'm in another round of full circle moment, which I think you know what I mean. But the original one was, first of all, I'm a product of an independent school, so I'm actually I had in a last couple years when I wasn't at a job, I was doing my own consulting. Now we'll be at a job again, but during that period, I had applied a lot of jobs, and you figure out pretty quickly how to say what they need to hear, kind of thing. It didn't necessarily land me the job, but one of the things I really spent some time on and figured out was how to talk about my educational experiences from the standpoint of how I see education, how I see people, how I see learning, right? What's possible. So what I was saying, which is true, and it took me a while to kind of come to this, I've been exposed to all the different all different types of educational institutions. I started at the local community center, went to a gifted kindergarten. I went to public school for first grade, then ended up at Nativity. So I did Catholic school. Then I ended up at independent school from 7th through 12th grade. Okay. And so I already had that foundation. Now, granted, independent school in St. Croix, University of Zion is going to be a little different.
It's different.
Awesome. My school is on the beach, man.
Okay.
I'm in middle school science, and when I look out to the left, I see the Caribbean Sea, man. And the teacher's like, focus, man. I'm like, I am. Oh my God. You know what I mean? And go for a walk on the beach to look for certain, come on, man. So there's that. Now, what got me back into it was being a dad of independent school children. All my kids are going to independent school. New York has some great options, depending on where you live. And it could be pretty complicated and tough, like your district and all of that. And this is going back many years now, but even in modern times, it's tough. So the commitment was always there to have the best opportunity for them. And because my mom sacrificed to make that happen for us, it was in the back of my mind. So we did that. So it was actually through my son's school at the town school that I got involved first as a parent diversity coordinator, or I think that was co-chair or something. And, love that. It went really well. That led to me being asked to be on the board. We learned a ton there, and really being an ambassador for the school. But then I started getting teased about working in the field. They would say, "Ali, man, why you don't just work here?" I was like, "No, I'm good. I have my career. I'm good. I'm gonna go to my university." They were like, "You sure? You'd be good. You're a natural." I was like, "Yeah, thank you. I'm flattered, but no." Fast forward to you mentioned my Westchester Community College experience. That was like my last formal higher ed role, although I've stayed connected through consulting. And they brought me there to help bring the the college, to the 21st century from a tech standpoint, from a ERP. So I had just done some big ERP work with CUNY. They knew that. They were on a new platform, PeopleSoft. And so I experienced that, and I came in there and really, set about doing that. We made some progress, but to be honest with you, they weren't ready. And so the president hired me with that, but I'm not sure it was communicated to everybody else because, man, it felt like they were trying to run me out of there. So, and I could, I'm a people, I understand what goes into that. I respected everybody. It didn't always come back to me. Okay. Had a wonderful team, strong team, passionate team. When I decided to leave, it was tough because my relationship were real and strong, and they still are. So I remember going into my second year, and it was tough. And I remember going home for lunch. Talk about a gray area. Yeah. Going home for lunch, which is close, and I'm being calling my brother, man. Hey, man, he just keeping me positive. I was like, and that's not me. I'm a very positive brother. I'm human, but I find the good in almost anything. And I was basically depressed because I had never been in that. I've been in some tough situations, but this felt different, where I felt a little, judged, or maybe didn't quite know what to do with me based on who I call it the packaging, right? This young brother in his 30s who's in charge and knows his stuff, and in some cases knew probably more than many, if not more, on campus. And I'm good. I'm approaching this from an educational. How can I help you understand this? We can have some extra session, like that kind of thing. But it was a power struggle. And I wasn't up for that. I did my thing, and then I said, so what I remembered was those voices that said, "Hey, man, you ever think about you should work in one of these schools?"
Okay.
So I called an old dear friend who worked at Rye Country Day at the time, who was her title back then was assistant head of school and director of diversity, and we were already in touch. We kept up with each other. I'd see her at conferences and things like that, and we had a good rapport. And I kind of shared my story with her. You know what she said? "I'm gonna take you out to dinner." Just to encourage me. And at dinner, she said, "You can do this. You should take this seriously, get your stuff together and start looking." And sure enough, I did that, and they had an opening at Rye. I applied for it and got it. And my independent school career formally took off. And my references were the people from town who I'd worked with as a board member and as a parent. And it was really cool.
Knew you.
They knew me.
They knew you in the town.
They knew me. And they were ready for me, and I gave them my all.
Wow. Okay. All right. So you get to Rye Country Day.
I do.
You're there for 12 years.
Long time. And technically, I'm still there.
You're still there.
I mean, yes. And I mean, and my heart is still there.
Yes.
But yes, formally, I had my.
You had some blood still there.
Yeah. Oh, yes. One more year, and I'll be an alumni parent soon. But yes, I was there in the role of director. When I got there, it was called Director of Diversity and Inclusion. They kept evolving the role. It was diversity, then diversity and inclusion. Now it's DEI, and it may evolve some more. So I was there in that capacity from 2013 to 2024. And then since then, I've been able to come back and help with some different projects. So it's actually 11 years. But then if you count that I'm still helping, maybe 13, maybe
right. Yeah, it's
more.
even longer. It's ongoing.
But my commitment is strong there. But yeah, and I learned a lot. It was a wonderful experience. It really
you got a great experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
I really loved the community. I loved the kids. Oh my God, the students. I say kids, they're students.
Right.
And I've lived long enough and been blessed to stay in touch with so many of them who are thriving right now. They are doing it, doing their thing. I keep up with the kids, and I'll say to them, "Hey, we should catch up, whatever you want to do." And some of them I'll tease them because they do so well. I'm like, at some point you can treat me if you want to. You know what I mean? I won't say no. I won't let you do it. But when you're at that point, but it was just, it was a different time, of course. But again, a PWI, type of environment is going to be the diversity lens is deep. It covers so much ground. How people see themselves, religion, race and ethnicity, socioeconomic, their ability, the learning spectrum. I mean, there's so many. We go on and on and on. So I just loved it, and I love to learn. So I loved. I brought a lot to that table, but I learned so much from them and my colleagues. Some really talented folks there. I took pride in recruiting people, cultivating a diverse workforce, and retaining them, helping them grow and learn, and some move on. So when it was finally all said and done, it was tough to leave, but I did leave. That was a great area for me. That was a great area. So it was to finally say, okay, I'm ready. I've been ready for this next thing. It's not happening here,
right?
So I'm gonna move on. And then here's the real gray. Nothing open. I didn't have a job, man. I would never do that to my family. You know what I mean?
Yes,
brother.
Yes.
Brother, you hear what I'm saying? Let me get refreshed. I would not do that.
So, in your time there, there've been some big changes, some big monumental things that happened.
Yeah.
2020 comes to mind.
Oh yeah.
2020 was a heavy time for many of us.
Yes.
For the world.
Yes.
Yes. The country is in the streets. There's a strong reaction to the murder of George Floyd.
Yes.
Your position at the time is Director of Diversity at a PWI independent school.
Yes.
You write a letter. You put it on school company letterhead, and it's co-wrote by Rebecca Drago. You close it with the infamous 3 words: Black Lives Matter. Where were you in your space when you penned such a letter, such a brave letter? I might add.
Thank you for that. Oh my God, you're taking me back. I'm getting a little chills here because you lived it too, man. And I appreciate being asked the question by someone who lived it, because every word you're asking me, I know you're not just asking to hear, but you're asking because you know the gravity of the situation. Let me take you back a little bit in the sense of that school. I had been there a while at the time. I was definitely one of the leaders on campus, what we call senior administrator. COVID had just happened, right? March. So that's tough, right? And I was at that table to help him figure out how we're going to do school. in the new normal that no one understood, right? So that was it. So we're working around the clock, 7 days a week, all day and all night. The George Floyd thing happens. We also had another movement that you probably know about called the Black At movement. We actually had another one called Queer At, but Black At was the one where we had alums of color, particularly black and brown, who used social media as a tool of protest, of revolution, as to say, oh, you will see me now.
Gotcha.
My experiences over, and this way it goes back to many years, 10s, 20s, 30s years. There's some things about this school I appreciate and will always love.
Right.
And you all didn't quite do right by me. And so they would make these posts. There were hundreds of posts about things, whatever came from their heart, about what they experienced. And we had to deal with that. I was the lead on helping deal with that. Rebecca Drago was part of that. Other people at the school, the head of school, the assistant head of school. It was nonstop. And it was one of those things where, talk about gray, there's no winning, right? Not just about winning. But what I mean is that the best you could do, and this is what I said, and this is what we followed. They did listen to me and we worked together. Let's honor their voices. Yeah. It's a gift. You hear me? A gift that they would share the truth with us in this way. As painful as it is. Now, I think the country can learn from that now.
Of course.
But we learned back then. And so it wasn't perfect. Some people have been burned to the point where they're never coming back from that. All you can do is respect them and say, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you experienced that. We'll do everything we can to make sure it never happens again. That's how we spoke. That's how I spoke. And we meant this. So that letter you wrote, thank you. You brought me back because I wrote some letters.
Yeah.
It came from a good place. Now, the school also had shifted and took this very seriously. This was, every school's a little different. I know a lot of schools kind of jumped on board because it felt like the right thing to do. Riot Country Day was known as a place, not perfect, but was committed to the work, who had a longer history of commitment and program. And we even did a lot of stuff beyond our school. So we had a foundation, right? Plenty of work to do. We had a foundation. So when that happened, it was tough and we worked through it. And so, yeah, I think, I wouldn't say it surprised me, but I really appreciated seeing the community rally together in that way. And again, two very important, serious things are happening at the same time. It's hard to unpack the two. People just trying to live and stay safe.
Scared to death.
We had to do pool testing to get to school. I used to drive all over the place to get kids who couldn't get there to make sure they can come to school. Like that's how the level of commitment of our work. We even helped with some food and things like that. So that summer is a blur. Like I remember all of it and I don't remember any of it at the same time. You know what I mean? Talk about gray. I was like, oh my God, what day is it?
Right.
And then of course, part of that summer was also trying to figure out how to do school in a hybrid environment, bring people back. So it was a tough time, man. It was heavy. Yes. There were casualties of war. There were people from that era who didn't, kids and adults who didn't really make it out. I mean, they got out, but it just sort of weren't the same. People, some educators were burnt out. They were kind of done. Yeah. Across a number of fronts, they couldn't do it anymore, which I respect. But I came out of it, took a couple years, stronger, wiser, and committed then to the next thing. Because what I loved about that era, even though it was tough, was I was at all the tables. I was helping out, like something I was already into, but in a way where I was being listened to. It's like, how are we going to do this? And I was able to reconcile the COVID kind of component with the DI component, which they're very different, but surprisingly, there was some overlap, right?
Gotcha.
How do we see people fully? How do we make sure everyone's okay? How do we give people what they need so they can still learn and thrive? Right. That was a real question back then. Right. You probably heard the research tells you a lot about how young people, you have one here who's not young, but young people from that era, it was not just challenging for them, but they didn't always get what they deserved and needed educationally, right? No. There were real gaps across ages, and depending on how old the children were at the time, if you're not taking that seriously, you're going to see some impact. Effects. So that was part of what we were carrying. But anyway, it came out of all that, and I was like, oh, I think I know what I want to do next. I want to be like an assistant head or associate head of school. I want to be that person who's one of the key people, right-hand person to the leader. And you can plug me in anywhere because I have energy. I get energy by that. I have the skill set, which is underrated, the versatility. And I'm committed to, finance or the building, the plant, any programmatic thing. I always taught, I coached. So every part of that campus I inhabited with passion and commitment.
Gotcha. So your name still rings bells over there, right? So you were there for 13 years. You've created some programs, the Saturday Summit, on social justice, which is modeled after the National Association of Independent Schools.
That's right.
The Mosaic Diversity Conference,
Yes.
which serves over 200 plus people in Westchester and Connecticut. Then you leave, though. So these programs that you implement,
Yes.
right? When you're invested in a place that long and the people who were there, what pushed you out the door?
Thank you for the question. I don't know if I've ever been asked it like that, because it's very, introspective to think about it that way. What pushed me? A couple of things pushed me. I think excellence pushed me from the standpoint of I always want what's best for my people and for the institution. Like that's real.
Right.
And I felt that I had more to offer to decision making, which for a lot of organizations of any kind, educational, corporate, whatever, you have to be at that table to actually be able to make the calls. The things I was able to make the call on, I felt I did really well. Had a strong track record. It was respected. It was understood. But I still was limiting. It still felt like I wasn't quite there. So that was a driver. I think no matter how many times you do something, and even if you enjoy it, and I do, I'm one of those people who likes to make room for others. Gotcha. Right? Like I don't need to be in this chair forever. Don't get me wrong. There's things I love and I always love. And I'm like, if nobody else wants to do it, I'm going to keep doing it.
Right.
But I'm always thinking about who's coming next. I like to prepare people for them. Like I believe in succession planning. I believe in sharing the wealth. I'm a teacher at heart. So I like to teach you new things. I like to learn. I like to be taught, but I like to. So I think that was in there too. It felt like, I don't want to be an ageist here, but I'm with myself, but I don't want to be the old guy, even though the kids, I stay young with it. I was youthful, but the kids would teach me a lot. Like, I don't know, but I'm humble enough to ask them how this works, right? How does this feel in today's world? So I would always do that. But there were times where I can see a young person in here, right? I had an assistant director who was younger, who was great. He was actually one of my former students who came back to work with me. Was a pretty impressive. He's still there. He's Joshua Rivera. He's an interim director now, but he was a fellow, and then he came back as assistant director, and then now he's the interim director, which is wonderful. Just to have that full circle moment and to be able to see someone take an interest in the work in that way. And he would tell you, he's his own man for sure. But he said to me many times, Ali, man, I was inspired by you. Like, I think I might want to do this. I'm like, you sure? I'm like, you sure you want to do that?
You sure?
He's like, I'm sure. And, we still revisit it. Like, you sure? You still good?
Right.
But, so I think that question leads me to like something burning deep within me said, there's more. Gotcha. You have more to offer. Right. And I thought at the time I had more to offer to that place, but that didn't happen. So then I set my sights on maybe another place. And I've always been a person who loves change, right? My wife doesn't love change, but I love change, right? So what I mean by that is like, and that's all love. My beautiful wife, she knows what I mean by that. She'd be like kicking and screaming, what do you this works, we're not changing it. I'm the opposite. And my career has been that way. My longest tenure at a place was 6 years, multiple times. So, and I remember at the 5-year mark, having the conversation with my leadership team about the future, and I was ready to do something. I was loving what I was doing, but I was sort of ready for something else. And that's sort of my internal clock. And I'll be honest, I stayed mainly because my daughter was there and because it was a family decision. Right. I got outvoted, man. All those in favor? Opposed? So I stayed. And I'm grateful. And then when COVID happened and George Floyd, like you said, then I was not going to leave until the school would get back to where. So then I get to the 10-year mark, and going into my 10th year, I was like, okay, let's go. And it took a couple years of looking and exploring options. Nothing panned out. Part of it, to be honest with you, was being a strong DI leader at that time. That was like a non-starter in the field. So people would literally, and I remember being in a couple searches where I asked for feedback. I said, listen, I'm committed to improving. I don't have a lot to offer. Why am I not being considered for the next? And they said, Ali, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. They're not going to hire you right now. It's hot. They're not. It's in the news. You got government commenting, and so it was sad. And they even said to me, because you're a leader in the work, it can't be hidden. Right. We Google it. We're gonna see it. Yeah. It's very good though. It's for everybody. Yeah. Like the truth of it is, this is a beautiful thing, but it was just one of those things that was, you couldn't touch it. So that was tough. But so then I had one more year. And that year, again, I was confident I was going to find something, brother. I promise you I would not have done that. And the way it works in independent schools, you have annual contracts, and you kind of have to commit early, like February. And so I went into that hoping I'd have something by then. I didn't. I had a plan B and C, which was to explore some other options. And man, it didn't happen like that.
Wow. Yeah. So, and that brings to in 2025, we're hanging out in this suite, right after the toaster spring break.
Yes.
Spring brunch, the toaster spring brunch.
Mm-hmm.
We're hanging out this suite. We're with Charnay, and we're sharing a lot.
Yes.
There's a lot of changes happened, but you shared something that, that not most would share in that space where, you were looking for a job. You were expecting to be hired, much quicker or find a job much sooner.
That is correct, brother.
And you had not found a position at that point in time. So right now, at that point in time, there's no institution behind your name.
No.
You're in a gap.
I am.
You are, the thought you're thinking of your wife, your family,
yes,
your home.
Absolutely.
Yes.
All day, every day.
Yes. What happens? What are you thinking about at that point in time? You're in that's some depth. That's some gray area.
That is. And it's a new space for me.
Yeah.
I've worked since 13 years old. I've worked 2 or 3 jobs at a time, multiple times, and I'll do it again. I grew up with a very strong work ethic for my family, and I enjoy it, the work. Not every job is has its moments. So not only was there this significant, serious professional gap of like, okay, all right, maybe this is not what we, what can I do? And I looked at I was like, what can I do? I got to get a job, What it did lead me to, though, is something very uncomfortable, but something I embraced because, again, within my heart, I know I have a lot to offer to this world, to people, to the work. I would do so many things for free and still would. When I didn't find the job, I remember some people in my circle saying, "Hey, Ali, have you ever considered being a consultant?" And I remember saying, "No, not really." They were like, "Well, you already do it." I said, "What do you mean?" They said, "For free. You help so many, you do consulting work, you just don't charge." I was like, "Oh, okay." So then I did have some conversations with some people who were working, successful consultants that I knew, that someone who I had worked with on the other side. And long story short, I kind of got going with that. It gave me something to do, but it was real. And you're building it up. And it, I would say, kind of took off. I mean, I put that same diligence I would give to the school space, working for myself. I was working from home. I realized I'm used to chasing kids all day. I'm putting on a few pounds. I'm like, I ain't got no, it's kind of lonely. Like, man, what are we doing today? What are we? I'm gonna watch the clock. I became a great homemaker. Kanika said I did all right. I'd be like, what can I make anything for you? I'm folding clothes. And proudly, like, this is what we do. My mom raised us to do everything. So,
that's right.
But to that question, I'm thinking, wow, is this what I should be doing? Even though I'm in it, right?
Right.
And because it takes a while to build things up. And to be really, really, really frank with you, typically, and I would advise people this way, you wouldn't take on that consultancy without having the main thing. Like it doesn't always work this way either, but the ideal way to do it would be to have a main thing, like a paycheck coming in, maybe not the job I had, but a job that, is solid. And then you build it up on the side, which is what I recommend this to everybody for a lot of reasons.
Build it up on the side.
However, that was not my walk. So you talk about walking by faith and not by sight. That's what I had, man. I had my faith. I would get questioned all the time and I still had a smile on my face. I would still take calls. I would still help people. I would still do some things for free, but then I started building it up, and I was strategic now. I started traveling, doing some conferences, making school visits. Like, I put in that work, and it paid off. Even round 2 this year had a record first quarter, and second quarter was great. Like, even as I'm winding down, and you happen to know, I do have a job that I'm going to start in less than a month now, even though I've kind of already started and prepping for it. But so I appreciate you remembering that, because I remember the feeling. I don't remember what I said to you all, but you remember something.
It was such a what the kids say now. It was such the vibe in that space was really good.
I felt encouraged though by your journey and your experiences, and you understood, and Charnay as well. He did a version of that. And he's doing very well. So that, and just there's something about us being together, as brothers. And I remember we said we'll stay in touch, and we are. Right. This is a form of that, of course. And I will tell you, I appreciate your encouragement, Charnay, as well. Like, I think, again, I use the word. I don't take, when I say lonely, I'm not a lonely person per se. Excuse me, but it's a lonely feeling.
Yeah.
Right. Even with your family, they're there for you. They love you. You love them. But my job, one of my important jobs is to provide and be there for them. And it's more than the financial, even though that's a piece. And we have strong communication in the home. We talk about everything, but there's things I don't want to add to the stress. I don't want to, hey babe, yeah, this is where I'm at. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of like processing this on my own terms. And so even that moment, you helped me with that. So thank you, man. Who knew? Within a few months, I was going to get a call or email, and then one thing led to another. So
that's right.
It's wild.
One more question about
please.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yeah.
Work. Because you've done the work even before it was a common title.
I did. Proudly.
But as it become the title, the the lingo, DEI has become it's been under attack.
Yes.
And it's being dismantled as we sit here today. You've even, your own word says, what do you do when the world is telling you that the work doesn't matter? How do you continue to go?
So we're going to do Underground Railroad, right? Harry Tubman is one of my favorite people. And it's for every reason you could imagine, and because she's a sister. Yeah. Because the sisters kind of always know. And look what I got on here.
Yeah.
Brother Malcolm, I actually got this on one of our civil rights trips that we used to do at school. I had the honor of going a few years ago. Ava actually was on that trip. We do it in 8th grade, and it was life changing. I think that should be on the list for people. Like there's the pilgrimage. There's many different ones. Mecca and all. The South, Alabama, Georgia. We all need to do that. If you haven't, you'll thank me later. It blew my mind. Like, and not just the reverence for how young people, like John, Brother John would go there, and John Lewis, who would sacrifice so much physically, emotionally, they could come after him at any moment. So I learned so much. So yeah, this is part of it. But you go underground, and what I mean by, I don't mean literally that. I mean the Underground Railroad, which is something we already have. And actually, it's something that's kept us all these years. It can look different. I think the DI space is evolving in real time. I think there are many people who look like us and many who don't look like us, who will always be committed because in their heart, they know what's right. Right. This is really a right-wrong conversation, right? You can label it all you want, but it's because real progress is being made. Right. That's the only reason for the attack.
Yes.
There's some unfortunate pieces of it where it has a face. It looks like me. Yeah. Right. And that's unfortunate because that's not accurate. Right. I'm proud of who I am and what we do and what we bring. And, I think it's upside down. I come from a, heritage of people who contributed greatly. That's right. To everything we know to be true, including the air. And so, but I think that's where we're at. I think another important piece is the young people, which is why working in the school or educational space is so important and so powerful, because the youngest of children, no matter of background, they still get it. They still understand. They still come into this world wanting to love one another and like one another and respect one another. They learn from the adults and some other folks that, well, we don't like that person or this person, all this stuff that, a lot of it's inaccurate. And that hate won't get you too far. So I do see a world that we're in, but in the future, in the near future, where the work continues. It's continuing now. It's a little quieter because it needs to be. But people are still going to do the right thing. Right. And I have a lot of confidence and a lot of faith in our young people who they're just different. Maybe some of the old heads don't like all the difference, but some of it is, a lot of it's really good because they don't have some of the inhibitions we have. They're able to see it clearly. It's a multicultural, multiracial reality for them anyway. And don't get me wrong, they have their own version of challenge, but the work will always continue because I think, there's some integrity and respect and what's right aligned with a lot of the work that has been mislabeled now. Yes. Yeah.
So you are the newly appointed head of school at Good Hope Country Day in St. Croix. You're leaving New York.
I am.
You're moving to St. Croix
in a few weeks.
To where mom's roots are, your roots. Like you've had some roots there. This is home. This is home. One of the 3 homes.
Definitely one of the 3 homes.
This is not just a career move. No, this is a life move.
It is.
What's happening with you when you make this decision that goes beyond a job title. Yeah. This is not just a title.
No.
This is a bigger decision.
No, it feels like we use the word calling at times. Maybe we don't use it enough, maybe use it too much, but this feels part of that. Meaning, first of all, it's a family decision, which I believe, the important decisions should be. I would not be doing this if I didn't have not just the full support, but because my wife, Kanika, when we explored these opportunities or this particular opportunity, she was right there at every step, encouraging me, going for, we had to, it's a commitment because I'm going to be down there, they're going to be up here, and, there's a lot to navigate. But we see it more than what's in front of us. First of all, for that institution to be at this stage of their existence, where they've had a great success and there's still many things they want to get to, great opportunity. And they chose a native son to come back. I'm the first native son to ever lead the school. Ever.
Oh, wow.
Never had an alum lead the school. Oh, wow. That's significant. At this stage where I bring all that experience, one of the terms I learned when I started consulting and going to conferences, you're going to love this one. It's called pre-K to gray.
Pre-K? Yes.
Gray, brother. Gray.
Yes,
you hear me?
I have that.
And I'm proudly state that because not just there's years and years of learning there, but all ages. Like I get the learning developmentally, the youngest to the oldest, right?
You've taught every age from 5 to 65.
Oh, yeah. And I'm still in touch.
Yeah.
The 5-year-olds have grown up to be 15, 20. And I've some grad students who are past 65 now, right? Yeah. I have many students who turn on to get their PhDs. Like I'm committed,
That's
I'm bringing all that.
That's a lot.
It is. And I'm blessed to have had that experience. Did I know in real time it could turn out like this? Absolutely not. Did I even know that all those different, parts of the educational landscape can connect? I didn't, but now I do. And so I bring that down. My mom is still going strong. She's retired. Yes. She's back home. And to be able to be with her during this stage of her life is beyond words. And my family, my immediate family and my extended family, my brother for sure, they are just so happy and ecstatic. They can feel, because we're faithful people.
Yes.
They're like, oh my God. This is blessed. You know what I mean? This is blessed. And another thing I have to tell you.
They say God's plan?
Yes, God's plan. I have to tell you, during the process, it's rigorous. You got multiple rounds. The final round, they fly you down and you spend 3 full days and meet everyone in the community. They ask you a lot of questions and get to know you, and they should. I left there feeling so encouraged. Not just because I had given it, felt good in the process. I gave my all. I was prepared. But because there was a special thing happening where the alumni came back in support of me during the process. Oh, wow. They just showed up and just said, I was in an interview like this where there was a Zoom and I'm getting messages and IG messages and text messages from people, some numbers I don't even have. We're so proud. We're so encouraged. We're rooting for you. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is real. That's awesome. So I'm ready for them. They're ready for me. Oh. And of course, I'm saying to them, you got to come on back home now. I want to see you. Come on back to Kent. And they're like, okay, I will. So there's some real synergy there. And I'm excited to get started. I'm already kind of got started, but excited to be there and have people down like you, brother. I know you coming down. You don't have a choice.
Yeah, yes.
We might do one of these down there. We got to do the St. Croix edition. All right. But no, I'm coming with all of the lessons learned, right? I'm still working on myself. I still got plenty to learn, but I'm so honored and excited to bring so much wisdom from so many experiences, right? We're, talented team. So I'm get to join a talented team and help them, and they help me. And I'm not here to, I got it all. It's more to say, what do you need? How can I help you elevate? Right. How can I buy you some more time? Right. How can we get the good word out about the school? So I have a vision that's bigger than the school that the school will benefit from, which is I want to shed some positive light on the Virgin Islands. Gotcha. So I'm already starting to have some conversations with some people about conferences being held there, and certainly encouraging all alum to come back. Yeah, and just visit. And if you're going to go on a vacation, why not come home? Okay. So stay tuned on that, brother.
Got you. Hey, so this is our last segment. It's called the No Gray Zone, right? It's rapid fire.
Okay.
Right? So theater or education, if you have to choose one for the rest of your life.
You can't do me like that. Education.
Education. Best advice you ever ignored, but eventually followed.
Saying no is okay.
One thing people get wrong about diversity, equity, and inclusion work?
That has a color to it.
St. Croix, New York, Texas.
Oh no, you did.
Where does the soul feel most whole?
St. Croix, man.
Oh, St. Croix wins
because you said you the way you worded it.
Okay, the soul. The soul.
I think it'll make your soul feel.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I would be lying if I said otherwise.
My soul's there.
Okay. You haven't seen me down there where I ain't got no kicks on, man. I'm on the beach. But St. Croix wins that one.
We've talked about where you started. We've talked about what you built. We've talked about what you survived. When somebody hears your story today, what do you want them to take away from your gray moments, your gray area moments?
Wow. Thank you for that one. I'm going to take a moment. I think faith came to mind immediately. And again, you know what I mean, but I'll articulate it. That never leaves you. And through these tough moments, through the gray moments, that faith is a driver. Faith this is the moment where we express our faith, right? You can express it in other moments, but when it's tough, when it's not clear, when it's not kind of working out the way you hope it to, or in the time frame that you want, you hold on to that. How you treat people matters a great deal. I learned that very young, and I practice it every day. And still putting your best foot forward, being able to, it's back to faith, believe that tomorrow's another day. Today's another day. What do I want to do with it? I start with the gratitude. The sun came up, the moon at night. We have food on the table. We have beautiful people in our lives. We have our health, right? And so keeping it simple. Things get real simple when you're going through some great moments. You're like, okay, how are we going to pay this bill? Or, how do I, kind of manage the next week or month? And so the faith is a big part of that for sure, but also putting forth that effort to still get up another day and still, I'm going to give it a go, right? Sometimes you can lose that. But for me, I'm just going to keep pushing forward, and it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Ali, we want to thank you very much from the bottom of our hearts for stepping into the gray area today.
Oh my God, we could do another hour, man. This is great. And look where I am, man. I got Kobe over here, the late great Kobe. I got Magic Johnson over there, and I got kicks that I can't even imagine. What the collection here is beautiful, man. It's a pleasure. It's an honor, man. When you reached out to me, we're brothers, and we have wonderful conversations whenever we get to be together. We're linked through our wives, but we have our own special connection, including with your wonderful son. I was so honored. I remember thinking,
thank you.
Wow, this brother, I know it's going to be good. He's thinking about me doing it. And I was like, I will do that.
First guest.
Yeah. So thank you for that. It's been an honor and a pleasure. And I'll be following you all carefully and rooting you along and thinking of, hey man, have you thought of, and and we can take, when you're ready to take it on the road, you let me know.
That's right.
All right.
So if you enjoyed today's conversation, please like it, share it, tell a friend to tell a friend. And thanks for hanging out with us in the gray area. We'll see you next time. Peace. Thanks, Ali. That's a wrap.